Today, I'm really pleased to be joined by Muzaffar Chishti, who is the Senior Fellow at the Migration Policy Institute and the Director of its office at New York University School of Law. I've been wanting to talk about what Donald Trump's election is going to mean for undocumented immigrants, indeed, for immigrants in general, and what we're likely to see when Trump actually takes the oath of office next month. So, Muzaffar, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Peter, and delighted to see all of you, even though virtually. So, I think let's just frame this debate as to why I guess Peter is hosting it and why is the moment so important. I never am tired of saying that Donald Trump is the only person in our history who got elected using immigration as his calling card. Others have tried in the past in primary elections. Pete Davis comes to mind. Patrick Buchanan comes to mind. They never won. They didn't even win their primaries. So that itself tells you that this is, in the immigration context, an important historical moment. And then he re-wins the presidency, again using immigration as the calling card. So when immigration is seen as a central theme of his campaign and now potentially a central theme of his presidency, it should not surprise any one of us. And we should take seriously what he said during the campaign and in his pronouncements since. So just to be clear, in the Republican platform that was issued towards the end of his campaign, immigration ranked 3 times in the top 10 of his priorities. First and second, that he would stop an invasion at the border and he would engage in mass deportation. So you have to say that you have to take him at his word. But what that means, we don't know, obviously. The only people like me whose job is to speculate about these things, we're only speculating here. But it's speculation based on some established sources. One is things that he has actually said during the campaign, or his surrogates have slished out, and what his record was in Trump 1. So that's sort of the basis of that. So let's start with mass deportation, which I guess is on top of people's mind. So I think you have to expect that they may not be as soon as some people expect. But the topic of discussion for us is that how big the storm is going to be, where it's going to hit, and what are the possible impediments to a storm becoming a really bad hit. And what is the role of people like us and the larger society to see that the harm that comes with that storm is as minimal as possible. That's sort of my broad introduction as to how you should construct this conversation, Peter.
Thank you. So I want to encourage people to put questions in the chat. One of the first questions we had was whether you think that Trump will limit expulsions to undocumented immigrants, or well, also there will be legal immigrants who also get expelled from the country.
Yeah. So, this is the nerdy things that lawyers have to deal with. The word expulsion itself, there's right. Legally contested. Expulsions today mean only at the border. That's what Trump did under Title 42. He just didn't even allow people to enter the border. You'd expel them. That's the only context in which we use expulsion. I guess what the question here is deportations. And by the way, deportation, again, is no longer used in our immigration law. We don't use the term. We now call everything a removal. I guess it was to make it a little more palatable a term. And removals happen in 2 forms. One is removals at the border, and one is removals in the interior of the country. We can talk about both, but I think in the popular perception, when people talk about this phenomenon, they talk about removals / deportation from the interior of the country. Again, to be clear, every person in this country who is unauthorized, which means they are here in violation of immigration law, which is a civil matter, is deportable or removable. In addition to that, even if you are a permanent resident of the United States, which we sometimes call green card holders, you are subject to removal or deportation if you have committed certain crimes. Actually, to be more complete in this answer, we can even deport citizens with very limited ability, and that's actually confined to Nazi war criminals. That it was a law that evolved in the 90s, that even if someone is a US citizen, we find that the person was involved in Nazi war criminals, we can still deport that person, and we have removed some. So we can remove even unauthorized people who are here with lawful permanent residence if they have committed crimes.
So you said we will expect some kind of storm, but not necessarily a tsunami. So can you just speculate a little bit about what you think that might look like? What newspaper headlines we might wake up to, in the days after inauguration?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. I mean, there are 11.6 million unauthorized people in the country.
This has been a free preview of my weekly conversation. If you'd like to hear the rest and support my work, please consider subscribing at peterbeinart.substack.com.